So good day everyone. For today's topic, we will be discussing yung ating mga lipids. So what are lipids? And so lipids are one of the four major biomolecules that we will be discussing in biochemistry. So minove natin yung topic from midterms, ginawa natin siyang prelims kasi yung proteins na topic natin dapat this week, minove ko na lang siya sa midterms para it can lead into another topic that we will be discussing, which is your enzymes. Your enzymes are also they're protein catalysts. So, mas maganda kung ma-discuss natin yung proteins and enzymes in succession para mas madali natin siyang maintindihan. So, for prelims, yung topic for your prelim exam will be the topic for your prelim exam will be yung first is yung cell, and then you have your functional groups, and then after your functional groups, you have your carbohydrates, and then itong fourth topic natin is your lipids. So let's jump right into it. So what are the objectives for this lecture? Objectives is to know about lipids, their common characteristics, the different types of lipids, yung mga structure ng itong magkakaibang lipids nito, as well as the different functions they perform. So we want to have an overview on the different fatty acids, the different membrane lipids, yung mga triacylglycerols, yung mga emulsifying fats, yung mga messenger lipids, at yung mga biological waxes. We want to know why they're all called lipids, anong meron sa kanila, ano yung mga structures nila, ano yung mga characteristics ng mga structures nila that helps them to perform their specific function. So yun yung aaralin natin for today's video. So what are your lipids? So lipids are also known as your fats. So fats, di ba? Yung fats natin is the form of storage of chemical energy. So pag naubusan ka na ng energy, di ba? You've already burnt all your glucose, you've already burnt all your glycogen. Ang next na tinutunaw ng katawan natin is yung ating mga taba or ating mga lipids. So lipids are a source of chemical energy. It's also a good source of carbon atoms. So yung lipids kasi natin is actually they are long chains of hydrocarbons. A lot of them are long chains of hydrocarbons. So yung mga long chains na yun, yung mga carbons na yun, pag kumuha ka ng mga carbons from those chains, pwede mo silang gawin into other organic molecules to participate in various reactions. So lipids as a source of carbon atoms alongside with your carbohydrates. Next, your lipids also serve as protection and shock absorption to your body. So yung mga internal organs natin, actually, they're surrounded by lipids. And by surrounding these lipids, if ever your internal organs will get affected by a trauma, kunyari, nasuntok ka sa tiyan, yung tiyan mo, hindi naman siya automatic na magiging bruised siya at magiging damaged siya, no? Kasi nga, meron tayong mga lipids surrounding them to soften the blow para hindi siya madadamage unless excessive yung force na ma-encounter niya. So, another role of your lipids is in thermoregulation. So, yung mga babies, they have something you call brown fat that they can burn if the environment is too cold para hindi sila magkaroon ng hypothermia. We also can burn your lipids can also prevent excessive heat loss. For example, di ba? Yung mga payatot, mas more likely silang ginawin rather than dun sa mga mas malulusog na individuals. Next, yung ating mga lipids can also say, as we mentioned in our first lecture, is the majority component of your cell membranes. Diba? Diniscuss natin earlier in the course, we discussed yung ating phospholipid bilayer, yung cholesterol that lends rigidity or fluidity to the cell membrane, as well as yung glycolipids that serve in cell-to-cell communication. So na-discuss na natin to, and I'm sure meron na kayong slight idea kung ano yung lipids natin, diba? And then, we will also be discussing yung mga short and long-range chemical messengers that are made up of lipids. So, let's start with defining what your lipids are. So, your lipids are substances that are insoluble in water but soluble in nonpolar organic solvents. They have a wide structural diversity, so hindi sila kagaya ng carbohydrates na puro sila stereoisomers, di ba? Yung mga monosaccharides natin, puro sila stereoisomers. Puro sila magkakamukha ng structure, nag-iiba lang yung arrangement in space. Dito, sa lipids, magkakaiba talaga yung itsura ng bawat lipid. For example, this one is a fat, this one is a biological wax, this one is a steroid, and these ones are your phospholipids. So, ito yung mga membrane lipids natin, di ba? So, as you can see, they have several common characteristics. Yung mga tinatawag nating, so there are several common components rather. For example, itong mga tinatawag nating fatty acids, yung building blocks ng ating lipids. But as you can see, hindi naman sila parehas na hindi kagaya ng glucose, ng galactose, for example, glucose, galactose, pare-parehas sila hexose, tapos iba-iba lang yung arrangement ng molecules. Yung structure ng ating lipids are very different compared to your monosaccharides. Kasi yung monosaccharides natin, they're monomers. You put those monomers together in order to create your polymers. Diba? You create your disaccharide, your oligosaccharide, and then your polysaccharide. Yung lipids natin, meron silang common building block, yung ating fatty acids. Pero, hindi siya polymers of your fatty acids. They have, the only thing that you can say that they have the defining thing that you can say by something is called the lipid is because they are insoluble in water and soluble in nonpolar organic solvents. So, ang ating lipids can be classified based on biochemical function as well as based on the reaction via saponification. So, saponification is hydrolysis reaction which we will discuss after this slide. So, daanan natin briefly yung what saponification is. So, how do you classify your lipids? So, sabi nga natin, you classify your lipids based on saponification and based on function. So, daanan lang natin quickly what is saponification. Saponification is a reaction that occurs when a lipid is placed in basic aqueous solution. We will discuss this reaction later on in depth dun pagdating natin sa triglyceride reactions of triglycerides. So basically, so you'll have an idea. You have a large fat globule. In saponification, you can hydrolyze that fat into smaller and smaller pieces. So magiging mas maliit na pieces of fat na yung molecule mo because of saponification. So your hydrolysis converts your lipids into smaller molecules. So these are the saponifiable or yung lipids that can undergo saponification. And then these are your non-saponifiable lipids. And those are that are not able to undergo saponification. So saponification in depth we will be discussed later during the reactions portion of this lecture. So we also have, ito yung mas important for our lecture today, is yung classification of lipids based on function. So you have energy storage lipids, you have your membrane component lipids, your emulsifying lipids, your messenger lipids, and protective coating. So for energy storage, you have your triacyl glycerols. I'm sure ito yung mga triglycerides na tinetest natin sa lab. You have your phospholipids, sphingolipids, and cholesterol for your membrane lipids. So, di ba, sabi natin, the cell is made up mostly of lipids. So, we will discuss in depth yung different types of membrane lipids natin. And then, we will also discuss itong bile acids or yung emulsifying agents that our body uses in the digestion of fat. And then, some lipids can also serve as messengers. Pwedeng short range, pwedeng long range, yun yung steroid hormones. And then, you have your eicosanoids. And then, we have biological waxes that serve as protective coating. So let's start with discussing the building block for a lot of our lipids, which is your fatty acids. So yung fatty acids natin are long chains of hydrocarbons. So ano yung fatty acid natin? Discuss natin siya. So fatty acids are natural occurring monocarboxylic acids. Tandaan nyo, ang fatty acids actually are long chains of hydrocarbons. So, maraming carbon, maraming hydrogen. So, it's a very, 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 very long chain of hydrocarbons with COOH. Kasi nga, sabi natin siya ay monocarboxylic acid. So, it's a naturally occurring monocarboxylic acid. So, isang kasi monocarboxylic acid attached to a long chain of hydrocarbons. So this long chain of hydrocarbons is the one responsible for the said intrinsic insolubility in water. Okay? Kasi this portion is non-polar. So your fatty acids usually contain an even number of carbons by virtue of how your fatty acids are synthesized. So yung fatty acid synthesis and degradation we'll discuss in finals under lipid metabolism. Next, we will also, your fatty acids also are usually unbranched, unlike yung mga polymers ng uh, ng mga sugars natin, di ba? Yung mga polymers ng mga carbohydrates natin, di ba? They can be unbranched, pwede silang branched. Kagaya ng glycogen, or yung amylopectin, di ba? Those are branched carbohydrate polymers. So dito, yung fatty acids, it's a long chain of hydrocarbons that are usually unbranched. So straight chain lang siya. And if your fatty acids, if meron silang double bond, the double bonds are usually in cis configuration. So this is, if you recall your organic chemistry lecture, di ba? Yung cis if they're on the same side. Kapag trans naman, they're on the opposite side. So kung cis or trans, it will affect the structure of your molecule. Kasi yung cis natin, di ba? Pag cis, you will introduce a bend in the structure of the molecule. So it makes your fatty acid more bulky. It will take up more space kasi meron siyang kink in the molecule compared to your trans, which is more straight compared to when you create a cis double bond. So usually, your fatty acids can be characterized according to length. We'll not focus on this so much, pero just know that there are short, medium, and long chains of fatty acids. So, magkakaiba din sila ng function. Your fatty acids, as I mentioned, is part of the structure of more complex lipid molecules. Hindi siya monomer ng lipids. Rather, it's a structural component of more complex lipid molecules. 'Di ba? Yung ating mga polysaccharides, they're made up of many glucose monomers or monosaccharides put together. So polymer yung ating monosaccharides. Pero yung lipids natin, they're not polymers. So hindi sila made up of monomers of fatty acids. Rather, isa sa mga components nila ng mga complex lipid molecules natin ay fatty acid. Tapos meron pa silang ibang component. Next, your fatty acids, by virtue of the long names, no, they're usually referred to by their common names kasi it's more convenient. Kasi if ever, meron ka pang double bonds done, you have to list them out, di ba? So medyo complicated siya if imagine mo, we have to refer to all of them by IUPAC names. So for convenience sake, usually, you refer to them as using their common names kasi ilan lang naman yung kailangan mong tandaan na fatty acids. So, I want to introduce to you a topic which is called saturation. So, bakit saturation? Bakit siya tinawag? Bakit saturated? Ano yung nagsasaturate? Yung nagsasaturate dun sa molecule mo ay H. Pag saturated, di ba, mas madami. So, pag mas marami kang H, mas konti yung double bond. Kasi, di ba, for each H, you create a bond. So, if nabawasan ka ng H, tsaka ka lang naman mag-double bond to conform with the octet rule. So, there are 3 types of fatty acids. You have saturated, your monounsaturated, and your polyunsaturated. So, what is the difference? So, if you have a fatty acid that is saturated or saturated with H, lahat ng bonds niya ay may isang nakakabit na either carbon or H. Lahat ng bonds niya ay single bond. So, if your fatty acid is all single bonds, you call that a saturated fatty acid. If meron isang double bond, you call that a mono-unsaturated fatty acid. So, isa lang, kaya mono, and then unsaturated kapag meron ng double bond. Kahit isa lang yon, unsaturated na yun. Okay? And if more than one, yung double bond, then you refer to that as a polyunsaturated fatty acid. So, ito yung example natin, no? Diba sabi natin, your fatty acids are monocarboxylic acid. So, you have your carboxylic acid end here. And this one is the long chain of hydrocarbons that make up your fatty acid. So, itong long chain na to, ito yung hydrocarbon chain that gives your fatty acid its inherent water insolubility. So, ito, nakita mo, yung chain niya, walang double bonds. They're all made up of single bonds. So, pag walang double bonds, that's a saturated fatty acid. Gets? If you want to write it in a condensed manner, since if you count all this number of CH, that's 12. So, that's 14. So, that's 14 CHs, 1 CH3, and then the COOH. So, this is the condensed formula. This is the line angle formula. So, for simplicity's sake, madalas ginagamit yung line angle formula for your lipids. So, sabi rin natin kanina, if there are double bonds, the present double bonds are usually in cis configuration. So, on the same side. So, if meron kang cis, sabi natin, magkakaroon ng bend in the molecule like so. So, if more unsaturated, syempre, bawat double bond na yun, it introduces a slight bend in your molecule, making your fatty acid more bulky. Next. So how do you name your fatty acids? Your fatty acids are actually named via the delta nomenclature. So how do you name these fatty acids? You count the number of carbons first in order to denote the length. So ilan yung carbons from this fatty acid? You start your counting from C1. So yung C1 is the carboxyl atom. So bilangin natin 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So there are 18 carbons. So you denote the length, you write 18, and then your two numbers are separated by a colon. So ano yung nagse-separate na sa kanila? It's a colon. You write a colon, yung dalawang dot, and then you write the number of carbon-carbon double bonds. So 1, 2, and 3. So, meron kang number of carbon-carbon double bonds for this compound. It's 3 double bonds. And then you enclose, and then you now notate kung ano yung location ng mga double bonds na yun. So, how do you do that? You write a parenthesis, and inside the parenthesis, you put the capital delta. So, capital delta looks like this. And then in superscript, you write the location of the different carbon-carbon double bond. So for this one, it's count ka starting, 'di ba, dito sa may carboxyl atom. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 9 yung first double bond. 10, 11, 12, 12 yung second double bond, and 13, 14, 15, 15 yung third double bond. So you write each double bond location separated by commas in superscript. So, ganito yung magiging itsura no notation natin. So, magiging ito, this is 18, 3, 9, 2, 9, 12, and 15. So, itong formula na ito, makikita pa natin siya later on pag nagbigay tayo ng examples of certain fatty acid. Meron naman tayo, I think this is more familiar to you, mas familiar sounding to you guys. You have your omega nomenclature. So, this one is used to group your lipids into omega-3, omega-6, or kung omega-9, depende sa pagkakanim sa kanya. So, how do you go about your omega nomenclature? You look for the omega or non-carboxyl end. So, ano yung non-carboxyl end? Kung ito yung carboxyl end, dun ka sa kabilang dulo. This carbon now is your omega end or your omega carbon. So, that's where you start counting. So, you count until you locate the carbon-carbon double bond closest to the omega end. So, for this example, 1, 2, and 3. So, yung closest to the omega end is on 3. So, you write omega and then 3. So, di ba? Omega-3, yung mga nakikita natin sa commercial ng Century Tuna, di ba? Rich in omega-3. Ito yun. Ito yung nire-refer nila doon na sinasabi nila na can be found in their Century Tuna, no? So, this is not a sponsored ad, pero you get my point, diba? Ito yung nilalagay nila sa commercial when they refer to omega-3 or omega-6, diba? So, next. So, pag sinabi mong omega-3, yung endmost double bond niya is 3 carbons away from the methyl end. So, let's go to several examples of your fatty acids. You have your fatty acids over here. Itong mga lauric, myristic, palmitic, stearic acid. Hindi naman natin siya totoxikin. I'd rather you focus on this slide. This one we'll go into it when we discuss yung tinatawag nating when we discuss the dietary considerations, yung tinatawag nating essential amino acids, di ba? So, ito, if this looks familiar to you, di ba ito? You have your 18, 3, 9, 12, 15. So, yun yung kaninang example natin sa delta nomenclature. That's linolenic acid. So, Ito, si linoleic and si linolenic, ito yung essential fatty acids that we will discuss later on along with your EPA and DHA. So, pero for now, let's leave it at that. Let's go into the different characteristics of your fatty acids. So, your fatty acids, yung structure nila, of course, affects their physical properties. Yung, particularly, yung length and degree of unsaturation. So, ang gusto lang natin iparating dito, pag mas mahaba yung hydrocarbon chain ng yung fatty acid, mas less soluble siya in water. Kasi magiging mas non-polar yung molecule mo, the more hydrocarbons there are. Okay? Another thing that is affected by length is the melting point. Mas mahaba yung molecule, mas less likely siya to melt at lower temperatures. Tataas yung kanyang melting point. Meanwhile, another thing is to note about is the saturation of your fatty acid. So, mas saturated yung fatty acid, the less double bonds there are, the mas mataas din yung melting point. So yun lang naman yung yun yung gusto nating iparating dito sa ating mga sa mga physical properties of your fatty acids. So now let's go into your energy storage lipids. So what are your energy storage lipids? The major example of your energy storage lipids is your triacyl glycerols. So what are triacyl glycerols, also known as triglyceride? So let's break down the name. There are there's tri, and there is acyl, and then there is glycerol. So glycerol is this molecule. Glycerol, meron kang tatlong CH, dalawang CH2, CH, and CH2. So meron kang tatlong C. And then you have 3 alcohols attached to each carbon. So, this is your glycerol. Ito yung glycerol. So, bakit naman siya sinabing triacyl? Meron tayong tinatawag na acyl group kapag meron kang C double bond O plus an R group. So, C double bond O plus R group, you refer to that as an acyl group. So, dito, sa structure ng ating glycerol, if you can see here, yung kanyang shorthand, you have an RC double bond O. So, this is an acyl group. So, for each O, nung ating triacyl glycerol, merong nakakabit na acyl group. So, that's tatlong acyl, tri-acyl, and then you have your glycerol portion. So, triacyl glycerol. So, your triacyl glycerols are the most abundant types of lipid in the human body. It's formed by the esterification of three fatty acids to one glycerol molecule. So, each OH group is esterified to a fatty acid. So, ano nangyayari dito sa esterification? Ganito yung nangyayari. So, sa esterification, di ba? You have your glycerol, yung tatlong C na may tatlong OH, and then you have fatty acid. So, this one is one fatty acid, this one is another fatty acid, and this one is another fatty acid. So, you have 3 fatty acids esterified to cholesterol. How does esterification occur? Yung OH, dun sa COOH end ng fatty acid natin, di ba sabi natin, this one is the carboxylic acid end of your fatty acid. So, yung OH dun sa carboxylic acid end will react with the H of one of the OHs of the glycerol molecule. So, H plus O, that's H2O to produce your water. So, this part gives rise to water, and then this carbon will now bond to this O. So, if you have a C double bond O plus another O, that's an ester bond, di ba? That's an ester bond. So, this one is an ester. That also happens for the second carbon. Yung H plus OH, yung H plus OH magiging water, and then yung C double bond O, magbubond to another O to form another ester bond. Nakabaligtad lang dito sa picture na to. And then, yung sa third fatty acid, ganun din. Yung H plus OH, magiging water. And then, your C double bond O with bond to the O dun sa glycerol mo to form another ester bond. Kaya pag sinabi natin na meron tayong esterification of glycerol, the esterification of 3 fatty acids to glycerol, magkakaroon ka ng tatlong ester bond. So, it's a tri-ester of your glycerol molecule. So triester of glycerol plus 1 water molecule for each of these. So meron kang triester plus 3 water molecules. So yun yung nangyayari dun sa esterification of your glycerol. So your triacyl glycerols are located within your fat cells or your adipocytes. So ito yung mga nakastore sa tiyan natin, sa bilbil natin, yung mga hita natin, puwet, etc. They are found beneath the skin, yung ating subcutaneous tissue, yung in the abdominal cavity, as well as in the mammary glands and around various organs. So yung triacyl glycerols natin, there are 2 types. You have your simple and yung ating mixed. Kapag simple, the fatty acids are identical. Kapag more than one type of fatty acid, it's a mixed molecule. So ano example natin? For example, you have palmitic acid, you have another palmitic acid. Tapos itong isa, palmitic acid din. So pare-parehas na palmitic acid. This is a simple triglycerol. For example naman, this one is palmitic acid, this one is palmitic acid, this one is oleic acid. So, ibang klaseng fatty acid na to. Ibig sabihin, more than one type of fatty acid na siya. Therefore, this is already a mixed triacyl glycerol. So, yun lang yung pagkakaiba ng simple and yung mixed. Now, let's go to the next slide. So, let's go now into your fats and oils. So, these are triglyceride mixtures that are solid or semi-solid and at room temp. Meanwhile, yung oils naman natin are triglyceride mixtures that are liquid at room temperature. Your fats are sourced from your animals while your oils are sourced from your plants, di ba? So, yung, for example natin, paano ba natin maalala kung ano yung fats, di ba? For example, nagluto ka ng sinigang na baka. So, di ba, pagkaluto mo ng sinigang na baka, pag habang mainit pa siya, it's all, yung sabaw niya is all sabaw. Pero pag iniwan mo, yung sinigang na baka, at room temperature, tapos lumamig na siya, magkakaroon na siya ng sebo. Yung sebo na yon is actually fats, nung galing sa beef na niluto mo. So, dahil yung beef is an animal source, ang meron sila is yung mga fats. Meanwhile, in plants naman, di ba? Yung ating mga cooking oils is actually derived from plants. And if yung mga cooking oils mo, if you store them at room temperature, hindi naman sila nagiging solid. They remain liquid at room temperature. So, yun yung example ng ating mga oils. So, bakit solid yung fats? Bakit liquid yung oils? Kasi, because of the type of fatty acids that predominate in these triglyceride mixtures. So, sa fats, the predominant fatty acids are your saturated fatty acids. Meanwhile, sa unsaturated fatty acids are the ones that predominate in your oils. So, anong implication nito? Diba? Yung saturated fats natin, kasi they can pack more closely with each other. Kasi, compound siya, puro sila straight chain. So, for example, ito, pwede kang magsalansan ng maraming saturated fatty acids together para maging pwede siyang mag-solidify. Hindi kagaya ng oils, di ba? Kahit na maglagay ka, dahil because of the kinks in the bonds, dahil meron siyang mga double bonds that introduce kinks, mas spaced out between each molecule. So, if meron ka, for example, isa pang poly unsaturated fat dito, di ba? Mas malaki yung space na inoccupy nito, mas fluid siya kasi there is room between each of the molecules. Kaya it remains liquid at room temperature. So next, let's go naman to the dietary considerations of your fats. So, aside from the amount of dietary fat, of course, you want to control the amount of dietary fat in such a way that it's less than 30% of your total calories. We also want to consider the type of dietary fat. So, of the 3 that we mentioned, from saturated, monounsaturated, and unsaturated, yung mas healthy actually is yung monounsaturated fat. Why? Why are because yung monounsaturated fats natin, meron silang isang kink in their molecules. So, yung kinks na yon, mas malaki yung angle, mas malaki yung spacing nila between each other. Ang pinaka-unhealthy and is actually associated with increased cardiovascular risk is your saturated fat. So, you want your saturated fat to be less than 10% of your fat intake, of your total calories intake. So, yung saturated fat kasi, 'di ba? Sabi natin, they can pack with each other. So pag pumasok sila sa katawan mo, mas madali din. So mas pwede rin silang solidify at ma-imbak sa ating mga blood vessels. So, your saturated fats are associated with increased heart disease risk compared to your unsaturated fat, yung ating monounsaturated and your polyunsaturated fats. Since unsaturated fats sila, meron silang mga double bonds, they are less able to pack closely. There is associated decreased risk of heart disease. So, pag saturated fat, increased risk of heart disease. Kapag unsaturated fat, it's decreased risk of heart disease. Pero note na, pag nakita nyo dito, you still prefer mono unsaturated compared to polyunsaturated fat. Bakit? Because your polyunsaturated fat, according to studies, is associated with increased risk of cancers such as yung colon cancer natin, yung cancer of the large intestine, as well as yung breast. Next, another thing that you want to consider is yung intake of omega-3 fatty acids. So, yung omega-3 fatty acids can be found in deep or cold water fish oils. So, hindi ko pala na-mention kanina. Yung mga deep or cold water fish, kasi, your albacore tuna, your salmon, and your mackerel, hindi sila, kahit na sila ay animals, they do not have yung fats. What they have rather is yung oils. Kasi imagine mo, under the sea, sobrang lamig nung tubig, di ba? Kasi nga, light does not come through. Super lalim na ng nun, so puro water pa siya. So it's a very cold environment. Imagine if super cold yung environment, tas ang meron ka is fats. Eh di yung fats na yun, pwede silang mag-solidify. Eh, di ba na underneath the sea, kailangan kailangan yung kanilang storage is will still be mobile kasi they're animals. So yung kanilang fats, instead of having fats, what they have are oils. And yung itong omega-3 fatty acids are actually, ito usually yung mga essential fatty acids natin that we want to obtain in our diet. So more on essential fatty acids after this slide. So ito lang, overview ng mga common oils that we encounter in food processing, in cooking, in the food that we eat. So, masasabi natin, di ba, ang pinaka-desirous natin is yung monounsaturated fat. Pero syempre, as unhealthy individuals, lalo na tayo mga Pinoy, di ba? Mahilig tayo sa matataba. Common tayo kumain ng pork, which has a high amount of saturated fat, as well as beef. So, mataas yung amount of saturated fat sa pork and sa beef. Favorite din natin, di ba? Mag-aalmusal tayo na mainit na pandesal with butter. So, butter fat is comprised mainly of saturated fat. So, that's actually very unhealthy. So you want to avoid yung butter fat kasi kahit na masarap siya because it's mostly saturated fat. So, if you want to eat breakfast, kung gusto mong healthy, you eat avocado toast. Kasi di ba, yung avocado, yung oils found in avocado are mostly monounsaturated, which lowers your heart disease risk. Kung gusto mo pa magpaka-extra healthy, mag-Mediterranean diet ka, in cooking, you use your extra virgin olive oil, di ba? So, if you want to be healthy, it's very expensive. Kaya nga tayo puro nagluluto. If you want to healthy, pwede mong gamitin is canola oil para mas healthy siya compared to kung gumamit ka ng palm oil. Another good source of your monounsaturated fats is your peanuts. So, peanut oil. So, kain ka ng growers, yung mga may oils pa, para meron kang monounsaturated fatty acids. So, next. So, let's go naman to yung mga omega-3, omega-6 fatty acids na dinidiscuss natin kanina. Why is it important that we have this in the diet? Kasi they are your essential fatty acids. So, essential fatty acids, they are essential to your body. Kailangan sila ng ating katawan. Pero it's essential that you obtain them from the diet kasi your body cannot synthesize them. So, para matandaan nyo, your essential fatty acids are essential to your body and it is essential that you eat these. Kasi hindi siya kayang gawin ng katawan natin. So, examples of your essential fatty acids, meron tayong linoleic and linolenic acid. So, itong dalawa are needed for proper membrane structure for all of our cells in our body. And they're the starting material for production of longer chain fatty acids. Meron tayong omega-3, si linolenic, omega-6, si linoleic. Si linoleic is also the starting compound for another important fatty acid, yung ating arachidonic acid. So, yung arachidonic acid is the building block of your eicosanoids, which are short-range messenger lipids that are found in almost all cells. And then, if you are If you recall, yung mga na-encounter natin sa 'pag nanonood tayo ng TV, 'di ba, nagkakaroon ng commercial ng mga tawag dun, yung merong commercial ng mga infant formula, yung mga gatas ng bata. Sasabihin nila, "The milk is enriched with EPA and DHA." So, bakit, kailangan nila ipagyabang na may EPA and DHA yung gatas nila? Because your EPA and DHA, uh, is essential for normal brain and retinal development. So, yung mga commercials na yun, pinagmamalaki nila meron silang EPA and DHA kahit di mo alam kung ano ibig sabihin nun. It must be something good. So, ito yung scientific basis. Ito yung good thing na dinudulot ng EPA and DHA na ina-advertise nila. That is allegedly part of the infant formula. So, next. So, let's go to the reactions of your triacyl glycerol. So, there are several reactions that we want to go through one by one. So, ano yung nangyari dito? First reaction, of course, is your hydrolysis. So, hydrolysis, you use water to hydrolyze. So, you use water to break down your molecule. So, this reaction is actually just a reverse of the esterification reaction. So, tingnan mo dito, di ba? You have a water molecule here, another water molecule here, another water molecule here. Your water molecule will go into the ester bond to break it down. So, sisingit siya sa pagitan ng ester bond. So, parang ni-reverse mo lang talaga yung nangyari kanina. Imbis na paalis yung OH saka H to form water, yung water mo ngayon, babalik siya dun sa pwesto kanina in order to separate your glycerol molecule from the fatty acid. So, this hydrolysis reaction requires the help of enzymes produced by the pancreas. So, how does hydrolysis occur? It occurs by removing fatty acids one by one. So, you remove one outer fatty acid first. So, ito muna, kunyari, tatanggalin niya to form this one. So, you have a fatty acid and a diacyl glycerol. So, after mo, mag-give rise to your diacyl glycerol, yung isa naman, side ang tatanggalin. So, meron ka na, ang matitira mo is, you have another fatty acid and then, this one is a monoacyl glycerol. Sometimes, it stops there. Yun yung tinatawag nating partial hydrolysis. 1 or 2 lang yung natanggal na fatty acids. Pero, if you also remove the fatty acid in the middle, then you have your complete hydrolysis. So, if enzymes remove all 3, you produce 3 fatty acids plus 1 molecule of free glycerol. So, hydrolysis is the reverse of esterification. So, next. Ito naman, yung sinasabi nating reaction kanina pa that happens with our lipids, yung saponification. This is actually what happens when you wash your clothes, no? Kaya nga, sabi, di ba? Sapon sounds like sabon. Kasi, ito yung nangyayari pag nagsasabon ka ng damit mo. So, anong nangyayari dito? So, in the body, so there is hydrolysis reaction carried out in alkaline or basic solution. So, in the body, this requires the enzymes produced by the pancreas. So, ano ang nangyayari dito sa saponification? First off, the first step is actually the reaction we did earlier. There is hydrolysis of ester linkages to produce 3 glycerol and 3 fatty acids. So, yung kanina, di ba? Meron kang triacyl glycerol, you broke them down, naging 3 fatty acids and glycerol. So, yung maggagamitin natin for this reaction is yung fatty acids. So, next, yung fatty acids na yon will react to the content of the basic aqueous solution. So, for example, your basic aqueous solution contains sodium hydroxide. So, itong sodium hydroxide mo, si NaOH, it's basic kasi may OH ha. So, this basic solution will react with your fatty acid. So, di ba sabi natin, your fatty acid is a long chain of hydrocarbons with a COOH. So, yung long chain of fatty acids will react with your COOH with your NaOH. So, yung OH, nung NaOH, will combine to form water. So, HHO, that's H2O. And then, the COO will bind to Na. So, ito, ngayon, you give rise to your COO-Na. So, you refer to this as a salt. So, this is a fatty acid salt. So, itong fatty acid salt na to is more polar. Ay, meron na siya ngayong polar part. Itong part na to is polar while yung the rest of the hydrocarbon chain is non-polar. So, para siyang yung sa phospholipids natin, di ba, sa cell membrane, you have a hydrophilic head na polar and then you have a hydrophobic tail which is non polar. So, ano ang purpose nito sa nitong saponification? Ba't sabi natin ito yung nangyayari 'pag naglalaba tayo ng damit? For example, 'di ba, nung sinaunang panahon kasi yung mga sabon, they used to yung raw materials talaga niya, aside from having yung alkaline, is they are actually made up from animal fat. Yung gamit nila dati is yung lard, yung galing sa taba ng baboy. They use lard, tapos they use it and they put it in an alkaline solution, to create yung sabon natin. So, ano nangyayari? For example, kumain ka ng mang-inasal. So, kumain ka ng mang-inasal tapos yung damit mo, nakasuot ka ng puting t-shirt, yung damit mo napatakan ng isang drop ng chicken oil. So, oh no, yung damit ko may mancha na, meron na siyang chicken oil. So, paano mo lalabhan yung chicken oil? Siyempre, chicken oil na yun, paano siya matatanggal? Hindi naman siya matatanggal ng water lang. Siguro, mawawash away konti, pero hindi siya matatanggal ng water lang. Kasi sabi nga natin, yung ating oils are not soluble in water. So, hindi mo siya madi-dissolve, hindi mo siya mawawash away. So, how do you remove the chicken oil from your shirt? 'Di ba? Your chicken oil is non-polar. Therefore, in order to dissolve it, kailangan ang ipang-di-dissolve mo sa kanya is also non-polar. Kasi nga, sabi natin, like dissolves like. So, kailangan ang pang-dissolve mo dun sa chicken oil on your shirt is also a non-polar molecule. So, this is what happens with your soap, di ba? Yung soap natin, meron silang fatty acid salts, and yung fatty acid salts have the hydrophobic head and the hydrophilic tail. So, for example, nandito yung chicken oil mo. Yung chicken oil mo, yung fatty acid salts mo will arrange themselves in such a way na yung hydrophobic tail, nandun sila lahat, that will interact with the chicken oil on your shirt. It will form yung tinatawag nating micelle. Nasa loob, yung mga hydrophobic tail, tapos nasa labas yung hydrophilic head. Kasi nga, ito yung hydrophilic, ito hydrophobic, ayaw nilang ma-expose to the aqueous environment doon sa batya kung saan mo siya nilalaban. So, dahil naglalaba ka, so in this manner, dahil madi-dissolve mo na ngayon yung chicken oil, these micelles can actually form smaller para ma-hydrolyze niya into smaller and smaller and smaller droplets of oil. So, pwede siyang magkaroon ka ng mas maliliit na micelles na nagko-contain ng mas maliliit na drops of oil. So, dahil hydrophilic yung outer part ng micelles natin, this renders this spherical structure as slightly soluble in water. So, mas madali mo siyang mababanlawan. Kasi nga, yung outer part niya is hydrophilic. So, eto, syempre, pag kinusot mo, syempre, malulusen mo yung, yung chicken oil, mas madali siyang madi-dissolve. And eventually, mawawala yung chicken oil mo kasi nga, dinissolve mo na siya dun sa hydrophobic tails nung mga fatty acid salts inside the micelle. So, yun yung nangyayari sa pag naglalaba tayo. So, itong idea na 'to, ginagamit din siya ng katawan natin actually, when we digest our food that we eat. So, later on, dun sa emulsifying lipids, ganito din yung nangyayari sa kanya. So, we will discuss that in detail later on. So, next. Another reaction of your triacylglycerols is hydrogenation. So, i-hydrogenate mo siya, dadagdagan mo siya ng hydrogen. So, where do you add your hydrogen? So, you add your hydrogen across your multiple bonds. Pwedeng carbon-carbon. Sa carbon-carbon double bond, syempre, pag nilagyan mo ng hydrogen, yung isang end ng double bond, tapos dinagdagan mo ng isang hydrogen, yung isa pang double bond. So, magiging 5 na yung bonds niya kapag binilang mo 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So, hindi pwedeng 5 yon. So, magiging isang bond na lang yung double bond mo. So, para 4 bonds pa din yung carbon atom, di ba? So, maganyan, your multiple bonds are converted into single bonds. At sabi natin, the more saturated a molecule is, the higher the melting point. So, there are two types of hydrogenation. Meron tayong complete at meron tayong partial. Kasi nga, we're talking about triacylglycerols, di ba? If all three fatty acids on your triacylglycerol is hydrogenated, you refer to that as complete. Pero kung dalawa lang, for example, or isa lang yung nag-undergo ng hydrogenation, then that's a partial hydrogenation. So, hydrogenation is sometimes, hindi all the time, kapag yung hydrogenation nangyari, is magkakaroon ka ng completely saturated molecule, no? Minsan, nako-convert niya yung cis double bonds to trans double bonds. And this has your health implications. Kaya nga ayaw natin dun sa tinatawag nating mga trans fatty acids. So what are your trans fatty acids? So your trans fatty acids or yung trans fat, di ba? Pag tumingin ka ng label ng nutrition facts doon, meron doon nakalagay trans fat. Tapos pinagmamalaki ng mga ibang substances na they have zero trans fat. So trans fat is the unanticipated result of partial hydrogenation of oils. So this happens. So these trans fat affect your blood cholesterol levels in a similar manner to that of your saturated fats. So why is it so? Kasi di ba sabi natin, if you have a cis molecule, yung cis double bond mo, it introduces a kink or a bend in the molecule. Kaya it takes up more space, it makes it a more bulky molecule. So yung other, hindi mo siya mapapag-stack together neatly compared to yung mga straight chains lang natin, di ba? So, sa cis, okay yun kasi okay yun, di ba? Kasi sabi nga natin, it will not solidify, it's just likely to be stuck together. Yung mga cis, if yung fatty acid mo na-convert instead of cis into a trans double bond, magiging parang straight chain siya. And it will resemble your ating mga saturated fatty acids. Eh, di ba? Yung saturated fatty acids, they're all straight chains. So, mas ready to stuck together. So, yung trans natin, dahil kamukha na siya ng saturated fatty acid, magiging similar yung effect niya dun sa ating saturated fatty acids. So, yung effect niya dun sa ating blood cholesterol levels is similar to the saturated fatty acids. So, some trans fats are naturally present in meat and dairy products, while others can be taken from food produced by partial hydrogenation of your cooking oils. For example, yung mga gumagawa ng peanut butter. So, if you want peanuts, it's better to eat it as peanuts rather than hydrogenate the peanuts into peanut butter. So, next, let's go to another reaction of your triacylglycerols, yung tinatawag nating oxidation. Oxidation is the breakdown of carbon-carbon double bonds. This reaction uses molecular oxygen as the oxidizing agent. So, meron kang unsaturated fatty acid. So, oxidation occurs pag merong unsaturated fatty acid kasi kailangan mo ng double bond to break down. When you break down your unsaturated fatty acids, you first give rise to short-chain aldehydes, which when later oxidized, gives rise to short-chain carboxylic acids. So, yung products ng ating oxidation are your short-chain aldehydes and short-chain carboxylic acids. So, and these short-chain aldehydes and carboxylic acids is often associated with foul odors. So, meron tayong mga commercially produced foods that contain fats and oils, di ba? So, yung mga pag mga ganon na kailangan silang i-preserve for yung mga fats and oils na yung mga foods na may containing fats and oils in order to avoid itong oxidation process. But, kahit na hindi pa siya spoiled dahil wala naman microorganisms sa matubo, you want to avoid oxidation kasi nga ayaw mo na merong foul odor yung pagkain mo. So, yung mga yun, nilalagyan ng antioxidant. Para yung antioxidant na lang yung i-oxidize nila, imbis na yung oils dun sa food mo. So, usually, nilalagay nila either vitamin C or vitamin E. So, another example nitong oxidation process is yung production of body odor in certain individuals, di ba? So, yung body odor is actually due to the rapid oxidation of triacylglycerols in sweat. For example, di ba, merong isang, let's say, European, tapos nag-workout siya ng maigi. Yung pag nag-sweat siya, yung sweat niya contains a lot of unsaturated fatty acids. And with the help of skin microorganisms, these unsaturated fatty acids become oxidized rapidly to produce your short-chain aldehydes and short-chain ketones. Short-chain aldehydes and short-chain carboxylic acids. So, di ba nga, dahil sabi natin, itong short-chain aldehydes and carboxylic acids have foul odors, yun yung nagiging dahilan ng pagkakaroon ng body odor. Pero, not all people have this. Kasi, di ba, meron mga individuals na they do not need deodorant to function well. Well, not all of us needs deodorant to function well, but for the health of the people in their surroundings, 'di ba? May mga taong mas kailangan ng deodorant than others. So, yung mga tao na masusuwerte, usually meron silang genetic mutation. Wala sila nung gene that encodes for the increased amount of unsaturated fatty acids released in their sweat. So, swerte sila. Usually, yun yung mga Asians, uh, Asians, mga East Asians, some part of Southeast Asia. So, hindi lahat ng Pinoy may body odor kasi nga, Asian tayo. So, marami sa atin merong gene na, that limits the amount of unsaturated fatty acids released in our sweat. So, dito naman tayo. Summary lang nung pinag-discuss ko kanina. Your fatty acids are long chains of hydrocarbons with associate with monocarboxylic acid N, di ba? There is saturated, which has no double bonds, monounsaturated, which has one double bond, and your polyunsaturated, which is more than one double bond. Yung double bond can be cis or trans. Cis yung mas usual, pero trans is the more unhealthy because the trans arrangement leads the fatty acid to have similar effect to your saturated fatty acids. And then, based on location of double bond, you can classify your fatty acids into omega-3 or omega-6. So, example of omega-3 is linolenic acid. Example of omega-6 is your linoleic acid. So, these two are part of your essential fatty acids. So, now let's go to your membrane lipids. So, membrane lipids, minention na natin yung structure ng ating cell membrane, di ba? The cell membrane is made up of phospholipid, bilayer. Bilayer siya of phospholipids. Yung phospholipid, merong hydrophilic head na phosphate at meron siyang hydrophobic tail. So, ito, yung drawing ng phospholipid, kasi may yung phospholipid natin, meron siyang isang head, meron siyang dalawang tail. So, yung mga messenger lipids natin usually follow that configuration. So, let's go into the details of our phospholipid structure. So, our phospholipids are lipids that contain, of course, by virtue of the name, it has phospho, so it has a phosphate group, and lipid, so it contains one or more fatty acids. So, number of fatty acids depends, of course, on the what we call the platform molecule. So, kung saan sila lahat nakakabit. So, your platform molecule can be glycerol or sphingosine. So, sphingosine we will discuss in detail. Pero yung glycerol, di ba, na-discuss na natin, ito yung tatlong C, tapos may tatlong OH. So, yun yung glycerol. So, pwedeng glycerol yung platform molecule, pwedeng sphingosine. Pag glycerol yung platform molecule, you refer to that as a glycerophospholipid. If sphingosine yung platform molecule, you refer to that as a sphingophospholipid. And then, you have an alcohol group that is attached to the phosphate group. So, meron ka alcohol here, and then an alcohol here. That specifies what certain type of glycerophospholipid there is, or sphingophospholipid there is. Your phospholipids are the most abundant component of your membranes. So, di ba, nasabi na natin yun during our first lecture. So, doon muna tayo sa glycerol-containing lipids, phospholipids natin. No? Yung phospholipids that has glycerol as the platform molecule. So, dahil glycerol, meron kang glycerol, you have your phosphate group that we mentioned is attached, has an alcohol attached, and then you have your fatty acids. So, yun yung contents ng ating glycerophospholipids. Tandaan nyo that all attachments in your glycerophospholipids are ester linkages. For the purpose of our discussion, para if maghuhula kayo sa exam, ano klaseng bond ang meron sa pagitan ng mga parts ng ating glycerophospholipid? Ang bond na meron is always an ester linkages. So, if hindi mo alam ang sagot, ang isasagot mo ay ester linkage. Ester bond. Ester linkage, ester bond. Pag tinanong ka kung anong klaseng bond, tas lipids ang pinag-uusapan, ang automatic na hula mo is ester bond. So, as mentioned, your phospholipid has a head and two tail structure, and they can also undergo hydrolysis and saponification in a manner similar to your triacyl glycerols. So, sabi natin, di ba? Ito yung triacyl glycerol, ito yung glycerophospholipid. Yun yung difference nila. May glycerol ka, so imbis na tatlong fatty acid, you have dalawang fatty acid lang, and you have a phosphate group. So, ito na mga alcohol. Ano naman yung alcohol portion nitong glycerophospholipid? There are actually 3 different alcohols that can touch. First one is choline, because it has an OH, kaya alcohol siya. You have an ethanolamine, na may OH din, kaya nga siya alcohol. And then your serine, which also has an alcohol. So itong tatlong to, ito yung nagde-dictate ng apelyido nung ating glycerophospholipids. Kasi itong buong portion na to, your glycerol plus phosphate plus fatty acids, you refer to that as your phosphatidyl. Phosphatidyl. And then, you add yung apelyido nung phospholipid mo, depende kung anong alcohol you touch. So, you either have a phosphatidyl choline, you have a phosphatidyl ethanolamine, or a phosphatidyl serine. So, yun yung relevance ng different types of alcohol. And syempre, ibang alcohol, iba yung function niya. Kasi syempre, iba yung mga molecules and bonds attached. So, next. So, dun na tayo sa specific types of your glycerophospholipids. You have your phosphatidyl choline, yung merong choline choline as the alcohol. Yung mga choline containing na glycerophospholipids, yun yung tinatawag nating lecithins. So, your lecithins are important component of your cell membrane and also serves as lung surfactant. So, yung lung surfactant is actually very important dun sa lining ng ating respiratory tract, lalo na sa mga newborns. Kasi kapag yung newborn mo, nag-inhale siya, yung lungs mo kasi, it has the tendency to collapse. So, hindi siya mag-expand unless you have a certain amount of lung surfactant. Kaya problema ito ng mga premature na babies, hindi pa sila developed enough to have lung surfactant. Kaya yung mga premature, nako-confine sila sa hospital kasi kailangan abangan na mag-develop sila ng enough lung surfactant so that they will be able to breathe freely on their own. So, kaya sila nag-stay over sa hospital for several more days compared to dun sa mga normal babies na full term, 'di ba? Yung mga full term, isa or 2 araw lang pwede na silang ma-discharge. Yung mga premature, they stay longer kasi inaano pa sila, ginagamot pa sila in order to allow them to have more lung surfactant so that their lungs will mature, will be said to be mature, and that they will be able to move to breathe on their own. So, yung ating lecithins is also found in food, naturally found in egg yolk and soybeans. They're also in processed food such as your mayonnaise, ice cream, and custards. Another glycerophospholipid that we encounter is yung phosphatidyl, ethanolamine, and phosphatidyl serine. Ito yung tinatawag nating cephalins. Your cephalins are found in heart, liver, and the brain. Kaya nga siya naging cephalins. They're also important in blood clotting, pero not much is learned about these compounds pa lang on how they function, but ito pa lang yung medyo alam natin. So, for now, let's leave it at that. So, ito yung structure ng glycerophospholipid natin, di ba? Sabi natin, this portion is the phosphatidyl, and this one is the alcohol, either choline, ethanolamine, or serine. So, sabi natin, glycerophospholipid has hydrophilic head and the hydrophobic tail. So, hydrophilic head, and then you have 2 hydrophobic tails. So, yung dalawang hydrophobic tails niya is made from the 2 fatty acids. Next. Doon naman tayo sa tinatawag nating sphingospholipids. Ito naman yung phospholipids with the molecule sphingosine as its platform. So, what is sphingosine? It's an 18-carbon amino dialcohol hydrocarbon chain. So, ano yung amino? Amine, di ba? Amine group, NH2. And then, dialcohol hydrocarbon chain. So, dialcohol dahil merong dalawang alcohol. So, isipin mo, di ba? Si triacylglycerol, for example, glycerol, if kamukha siya ng glycerol at this portion. Yung CHOH, isang CHOH, tapos yung isa, imbis na OH, it's an NH2. So, iba din yung magiging bond dito, di ba? Kasi, di ba, pag gumawa ka ng bond, di ba, meron kang C double bond O, tapos nag-bond ka dito, this is an COO. That's an ester linkage. Dito, pag gumawa ka ulit ng C double bond O, tapos meron kang CO dito, that's also an ester linkage. Pero dito, pag gumawa ka ng bond, you have a CO, and then you have an NH over there, that's an amide linkage, di ba? CO and H is an amide. So, yung bond between your sphingosine and your fatty acid is actually an amide. And then, yung phosphate, yung bond between the phosphate and the sphingosine is actually also an ester linkage. Kasi nga, OH na to. Diba? OH na yan. So, sphingosine plus phosphate is ester. Phosphate plus alcohol is also ester. So, ang tatandaan mo, pag hindi mo alam ang sagot, kapag tinanong ka kung anong bond between your lipids, ang main sasagot mo is ester. Except lang, of course, pag tinanong ka, bond between your sphingosine and fatty acid, the answer is amide. Kasi meron siyang NH2 in its structure. So, sabi natin, meron din tong head and two-tail structure. So, how does it go about that way? Yung isang tail actually is your sphingosine. So, yung sphingosine mo is part of the tail, is one of the tails, and your fatty acid is another tail. So, isang fatty acid tail, isang sphingosine tail. And then, this part is the whole head. Yung phosphate plus alcohol na portion. So, meron tayong sphingophospholipid. If yung alcohol niya is choline, there's a specific type of sphingophospholipid that we call sphingomyelin. So, myelin is an important covering dun sa mga nerves natin that serves in increasing the speed of conduction of our nerve impulses and signals to and from the brain. So, itong myelin na to, siya yung nagpapabilis ng mga nerve impulses natin. So, mga signals between the nervous system and the rest of the body. So, your brain is actually made up, a large part of it is made up of lipids. So, very important ang lipids for our nervous system. And as you can see in the next discussion, the nervous system is actually, kasi nga, dahil sa myelin, yung myelin is lipids, kailangan mo talaga ng lipids for your nervous system development. So, next you have your sphingoglycolipids. So, breakdown natin yung pangalan niya. You have your sphingo, you have your glyco, and you have your lipids. So, sphingoglycolipids, di ba? Sphingo, kasi may sphingosine. And then, you have your lipids, your fatty acid, and then you have a glyco part. So, ano yung glyco? It refers to the carbohydrate. So, it's either an mono, di, or oligosaccharide group na naka-attach dun sa ating sphingoglycolipid backbone. So, it's also a head and two-tail structure. So, ito pa rin yung two tails. Ito yung head. And it also undergoes the same reactions. So, examples ng ating sphingoglycolipids is your cerebrosides. So, your cerebrosides are monosaccharides, yung carbohydrate group niya, either glucose or galactose. These are part of your myelin sheath. Meanwhile, you have your gangliosides, which contain more complex branch chains of up to 7 monosaccharide residues. So, these gangliosides form your gray matter and myelin sheath. So, yung myelin talaga natin, di ba? Gawa talaga siya sa lipids natin. So, either, sinabi natin yung sphingomyelin, and then you have your sphingoglycolipid cerebrosides and gangliosides. So, pag sinabing mataba yung utak mo, it's actually a complement. Kasi ibig sabihin, marami kang myelin sheath, mas mabilis mag-process ng information, mas mabilis mas mabilis mag-fire yung utak mo. So, mataba ang utak, that's a complement. BT ka, ibig sabihin. So, summary ng mga different membrane lipids natin kanina, as well as yung energy storage lipid. So, yung energy storage lipid that we discussed is triacyl glycerol. Isang glycerol, tatlong acyl or fatty acid. So, glycerol plus 3 fatty acids esterified, it's your triacyl glycerol. Next, you have your membrane lipids, which you can break down. Their structures, may looking at na yun, di ba? They have your glycerophospholipid. So, this is the glycerol platform. You have your phosphate with a touch alcohol, and then your 2 fatty acid lipids. Next, you also have your sphingophospholipid. So you have the sphingo, and then you have your phosphate group, and then your lipid fatty acids. Next, you also have your sphingo as a platform molecule, and then carbohydrate or sphingoglyco, and then fatty acid chain is your lipid. So yung membrane lipids, ganun mo lang siya tatandaan. Yung platform molecule, at kung ano yung attachments doon. So next, let's go to structure naman that has a slightly different building block. Kasi kanina puro tayo fatty acids. Now let's go to your steroid molecules. So your steroid molecules, these are lipids whose structure is based on a fused string system that involves 3 6-membered rings. and 1 5-membered ring. So ito yon. Tatlong 6-membered rings, 1, 2, and 3 sa ABC. And then your D is a 5-membered ring. And this whole thing is referred to as a steroid nucleus. So yung basic steroid nucleus natin, the prototype is your cholesterol. It's a 27-carbon steroid molecule, and it's the most abundant steroid in the body. It's the precursor of other steroid molecules. So kung gagawa ka, for example, ng steroid hormones, gagamit ka ng cholesterol. Gagawa ka ng bile acids, gagamit ka ng cholesterol. Gagawa ka ng other substances in the body, gagamit ka ng cholesterol. So ano yung structure ng cholesterol? Meron kang OH because it's cholesterol. And then you also have a long hydrocarbon chain na usually ito yung nagbabago-bago to give rise to different types of steroids. This is carbon number 17. So, meron din siyang side chain on carbon number 10 and carbon number 13, pero parehas ng methyl yun, and a double bond on carbon between carbon 5 and 6. So, ano yung functions ng cholesterol mo? Siyempre, iba-iba. Depende kung anong klaseng molecule yung ginagawa mo. Meron your cholesterol, as mentioned in the first lecture, lends fluidity or rigidity to your cell membrane. It's also part of your brain and nerve tissue. So sabi nga natin, important na mataba ang utak. And then, your cholesterol is found in virtually all fluids, and it's mostly synthesized by the liver. So kahit ikaw ay hindi na kumain ng kahit anong bagay na walang cholesterol for the rest of your life, magkakaroon ka pa rin ng cholesterol because your liver synthesizes its own your body's cholesterol. Typically, 800 to 1,000 milligrams are biosynthesized each day. So yung ingested cholesterol natin, pag kumain ka pa ng cholesterol, that is added on top of the endogenous production of your cholesterol. So i-increase yung net level of cholesterol mo in the body. So yung cholesterol na to is distributed to various cells throughout the body using a protein carrier system. So, yung protein carriers na yun yung tinatawag nating good or bad cholesterol, yung ating mga lipoproteins. So, let's go to this next slide. So, yung sabi natin, yung cholesterol is carried by protein carriers called lipoproteins. Your lipoproteins, for cholesterol purposes, so transport of cholesterol purposes, meron tayong dalawa. Meron tayong good cholesterol at meron tayong bad cholesterol. So, yung good cholesterol is your HDL. It carries the cholesterol from your tissues to the liver. While your bad cholesterol or your LDL cholesterol carries your tissues from liver to the tissues. So, ano nangyayari? Bakit bad yung pag-carry ng cholesterol from liver to the tissues? So, pag kumain ka ng maraming cholesterol, tumaas yung dietary cholesterol mo, mas magiging active yung cholesterol transport mo. Yung mga ginagawa ng katawan mo ng cholesterol, syempre, dahil may excess siya, dadalhin niya from the liver to the tissues. So, for example, you have your LDL. Your LDL will then carry you the cholesterol from the liver at i-imbak niya dito sa ilalim ng blood vessel mo. So, yung blood vessel mo, pag lumaki, itong pinag-iimbakan niya ng cholesterol, this plaque, yung tinatawag nating atherosclerotic plaque, will eventually expand and impinge into the lumen of the blood vessel. So, nagiging mas makipot yung mga daluyan ng dugo natin. Eh, syempre, dahil doon, bababa yung blood supply to that area. These plaques also can rupture and form clots, kaya ka nagkakaroon ng stroke, kaya ka nagkakaroon ng heart attack. So, this is, so we do not want high cholesterol. So, if you look at your lab results, mas gusto mo, syempre, na mababa yung LDL cholesterol na nag-iimbak ng cholesterol in your blood vessels. What you want more of is your HDL or your good cholesterol kasi yung direction ng pag-carry naman ng HDL is on the opposite. So, from the atherosclerotic plaque, it will bring your cholesterol out of the plaque and back into the liver for metabolism. So, mas maganda, mas mataas ang good. Mas maganda if mababa yung LDL. So, now let's go to our emulsification lipids. So, our emulsification lipids, so yung emulsifier is a substance that can disperse and stabilize yung water-insoluble substances natin. So, kung meron kang sebo, kaya niyang i-disperse yung sebo na yun at maging mas maliliit na sebo para maging mas madali silang ma-dissolve in solution or ma-wash away ng solution. So, yung mga cholesterol natin, they actually give rise to cholesterol derivatives called your bile acids. So yung bile acids uh, are cholesterol derivatives that acts as lipid emulsifying agent in the digestive tract. So para kang nagsasaponify ng mga pagkain mo sa loob ng tiyan, 'di ba? Kumain ka ng samgyupsal. So yung samgyupsal na yon hindi mo siya madadigest basta-basta kasi meron kang malalaking fat globules. At yung enzymes mo, syempre, mas gusto niya yung mas ka-size niya lang. And your enzymes are also water soluble. So how do you make your your large fat globules more amenable to digestion? You add bile acids to the mix. Bile will be released by your liver, or the gallbladder will release the stored bile into the small intestine during digestion. And your bile acids para silang yung nangyayari sa saponification. Para silang fatty acid salts. So, you call them rather as acids na magiging bile salts. Kasi, yung yung pancreatic juice is an alkaline solution. So, pancreatic juice na alkaline solution plus bile acids, you will form your bile salts. So, yung bile salts natin, meron ding polar at meron din siyang non-polar. So, yung mangyayari sa kanya is parang yung nangyari kanina, diba? Meron tayong micelle na yung outside is hydrophilic, yung inside is hydrophobic. So, yung hydrophobic portions na yun will stick to the fat globules, thus dividing your fat globules into smaller fat droplets. So, kukuha siya dito ng maliit na droplet, it will surround it with your bile salt. So, until your fat globule is broken down into smaller and smaller fat droplets. So, meron tayong two types of bile acids. Meron tayong simple bile acids at meron tayong complex bile acids. So, for simple, lahat sila ay products ng oxidation of cholesterol into monocarboxylic acid. So, doon sa C17, magkakaroon ng COO or COOH. And then, if COO, meron na siyang COO, instead of cholesterol, you call it a cholic acid. Yung cholic acids natin, pwede siyang di- or trihydroxy cholesterol derivative. Pag trihydroxy, that's cholic acid. Kapag dalawang, it's a deoxycholic acid. Kasi nabawasan siya ng isang oxygen. So, for cholic acid, yun na yung magiging suffix mo. Meanwhile, you have your complex bile acids. So, your complex bile acids naman, you have your simple bile acids with an attached amino acid on the carbon 17 using an amide linkage. So, ano nangyayari dito? Di ba sabi natin, cholic acid, yung COOH yung dito, and then, your amino acid will bind to the carbon 17 portion. So, now you form, depending on the amino acid attached, either taurine or glycine, now you have your taurocolic if you use taurine, glycolic acid if you use glycine. So, dahil meron ka ng amine portion dito, this one is more polar. While this part is still non-polar. So, magkakaroon ka ng mas malakas na polarity. So, mas mataas na yung polarity ng polar head. So, magiging mas water-soluble na yung mga lipid droplets mo. Kasi yung polar head that's exposed to the solution is more water-soluble. So, itong bile acids, di ba, if you usually have a high-fat diet or mataas ka mag-produce ng fat sa katawan, pag ini-store sila sa gallbladder. So, until they are needed for fat digestion. So, if ikaw mahilig ka sa fats, di ba, yung katawan mo, actually, masasanay siya na lagi siyang gumagawa ng madaming fat, madaming bile acids kasi madalas siyang nagagamit. So, if na-dehydrate yun, which eventually, since lahat sila made up of cholesterol, they can eventually form yung tinatawag nating cholesterol stones. So, cholesterol stones, yun yung mga nagiging stones in the gallbladder. Kaya ka nagkakaroon ng gallbladder attack, gallbladder disease. Pag na-infect, magiging cholecystitis. So, yun yung tinatanggal pag sumasakit siya ng sobra-sobra alongside with the entire rest of your gallbladder. So, next, doon naman na tayo sa ating messenger lipids. So, malapit na tayo matapos. So, yung messenger lipids natin, there are two types. Meron tayong long range at meron tayong short range. So, dun muna tayo sa long range na membrane na messenger lipids natin. So, first is your steroid hormones. So, sabi natin, dahil steroid, sila ay merong cholesterol, dahil sila ay cholesterol derivative, lahat sila ay merong steroid nucleus. Kaya sila naging steroid hormones. So, hormones, di ba? I'm sure you're familiar with it, high school pa lang. Hormones are produced by your endocrine or your Douglas glands. Sila yung nagre-release, sila ay chemical substances released into the bloodstream in order to signal tissues far away from the source. So, they serve as means of communication between various tissues. So, yung hormones na to, pwede silang made up of protein, pwede silang made up of lipids, pwede silang made up of other substances. Pero first, for our purposes, since lipids and discussion, we'll discuss the hormones that are made up of lipids. And the first of which is your sex hormones. So your sex hormones are steroid hormones. They control reproduction and secondary sexual characteristics. So for example, di ba sa males, your males produce testosterone. Galing kasi siya sa testis, and then you have a sterone kasi siya ay isang steroid hormone. So, steroid hormone from the testis, that's your testosterone. So, your testosterone promotes development of male secondary sexual characteristics and muscle growth. Meanwhile, you have your estrogens that predominate in the female sex. So, your estrogens are made up of are reproduced primarily in the ovaries, some in the adrenal cortex of the females. They promote development of female secondary sex characteristics. So, yung paglaki ng boobs, etc. Yun yung nangyayari if you increase your estrogen. It also regulates your menstrual cycle. And then, you have your third set of sex hormones, yung ating progestins. So, pro is for, gestine is gestation for pregnancy. So, these hormones are hormones that increase during pregnancy. These progestins are released by the ovaries and the placenta to prepare the lining of the uterus for implantation of the fertilized egg. So, ang nangyayari kasi sa progestins, they also suppress ovulation. Kasi, imaginein mo, nabuntis ka na, nag-positive ka na sa pregnancy test. So, pero, nag-ovulate ka pa rin ulit. And ano mangyari if ever mag-sex kayo ulit ng partner mo? Eh di, kung ma-fertilize ulit yon, hindi naman pwedeng may egg ka na nasa uterus mo, tapos meron ka pa isang ulit fertilized egg. Magiging dalawa sila doon. Yung isa mong baby, 6 months pa lang. Yung isa mong baby, 3 months lang. Ano yun? Magkaiba sila ng age. So, hindi yun nangyayari kasi nga, tumataas yung level ng progestins natin during pregnancy. So kaya, yun, in oral contraceptive agents, you use synthetic progestins. Kasi yung progestins nga natin, so yung synthetic progestins natin, they have similar structure to progesterone, they suppress ovulation as a means of birth control. So you use a mixture of progestins, and then you have estrogen, and then you have some synthetic estrogens along the mix in order to regulate the menstrual cycle. So next, you have your abortifacient, the mifepristone. It's the morning after pill. It's similar in structure to your progesterone, pero it interferes with gestation, and it's actually used in conjunction with another drug that we will discuss sa prostaglandins part dun sa eicosanoids. Ang mas high yield in this topic is yung ating anabolic steroids. Yung anabolic steroids are similar in structure to your testosterone. So, dahil similar sila in testosterone, they also promote muscle growth and development, and they also promote enhanced endurance. Kaya nga sila yung ginagamit sa ng mga athletes, ng certain athletes in performance-enhancing drugs. So, they're used by athletes in doping. So, yung ibang athletes or kahit yung mga bodybuilders, kung gusto nilang magpalaki ng muscle nila, they inject anabolic steroids. So, yun yung dahilan bakit sila nagsi-steroids for the muscle building effect. As well as to get an unfair advantage over those na hindi nag-steroids. Kaya binaban in competition yung mga athletes na nagpa-positive for doping. So next, bukod sa sex hormones, your adrenocorticoid hormones are also made up of steroids. So, yung adrenal cortex, 'di ba? Adrenal cortex is adrenal or suprarenal gland is the gland found on top of your kidneys. So, adrenal cortex, kasi yung gland na yun, meron siyang dalawang layer. Meron siyang cortex, yung outermost, and then meron siyang medulla sa loob. So, yung labas, yun yung gumagawa nitong adrenocorticoid hormones. Meron tayong two major parts that are steroid hormones, yung mineralocorticoids and glucocorticoids. Corticoids kasi cortex sila. Ginawang cortex, and then steroids. So mineralocorticoids regulate your minerals, your sodium and potassium ions in the cells, as well as their balance with your body fluids. And the major hormone under your mineralocorticoids is your aldosterone. Next, meron din naman tayo ng ating glucocorticoids. Yung glucocorticoids, kasi nga they control glucose metabolism and the representative hormone for glucocorticoids is actually your cortisol or your stress hormone. So, cortisol is the hormone that is synthesized in the largest amount by your adrenal glands. Yung synthetic, so itong glucocorticoids, ginagaya din siya in medication because it has effect of counteracting inflammation. For example, meron tayong yung mga synthetic glucocorticoids, for example, yung cortisone tsaka prednisolone, ginagamit sila to control inflammatory diseases such as, for example, meron siyang rheuma, your joints are swollen. So if you want to make the swelling go down quickly, you inject your anti-inflammatory drugs dun sa joint mismo. So you inject cortisone dun sa dun sa joint mo para bumaba yung inflammation. So yun yung purpose. So sabi nga natin, lahat sila ay merong steroid nucleus because these are cholesterol-derived substances. So next, doon na tayo sa tinatawag nating eicosanoids. So bakit nila sinawag na eicosanoids? Because there are 20 carbons. So your eicosanoids are C20 fatty acid derivatives that functions as a messenger lipid. And the precursor of eicosanoids is your arachidonic acid. Your eicosanoids are short-range because they're produced by almost all cells. So lahat ng cells halos merong eicosanoids kasi halos lahat ng cell has the means to produce your eicosanoids. Kasi yung arachidonic acid is gives rise to your membrane lipids. So yung membrane lipids na yun, you can convert them into eicosanoids. Tapos yung cell mismo, kaya nilang gumawa ng kanya-kanyang eicosanoid. Kaya they exert their effects in the tissues, right in the tissues where they are synthesized. So have different functions that we will discuss one by one. And there are three major classes. You have your prostaglandins, your thromboxanes, and your leukotrienes. So let's go through this one by one. So your eicosanoids, yung isa sa major portion is your prostaglandin. So sabi natin, di ba, they're derived from arachidonic acid. So in diet natin, kailangan may essential fatty acids. Yung isa doon is yung linoleic, walang N ha, linoleic acid or linoleate, pag tanggal mo yung H nun sa dulo. Yung linoleic acid can give rise to your arachidonic acid. Your arachidonic acid is used to synthesize your membrane phospholipids. Yung membrane phospholipids mo ngayon, if you act on them using your phospholipase A2, you can convert it again to free arachidonic acid. And this arachidonic acid is the one that is used to synthesize yung ating mga eicosanoids. And the first group of which is your prostaglandins by this pathway, your cyclooxygenase pathway. May encounter nyo pa to later on in your later courses. Pero yun lang. So your prostaglandins or also carbon 20 kasi eicosanoids sila. It contains a cyclopentane ring and oxygen-containing functional groups. So, yung different prostaglandins natin, may iba-iba silang pangalan. Meron si E1, F1, E1, E2, F1, F2, A1, A2, I1, I2. So, maraming klase ng prostaglandins. Hindi natin specify which type of prostaglandin gives rise to which function. So, specify na lang natin yung yung function sila in general. Your prostaglandins are protective to your stomach. So, it inhibits the secretion of gastric acid and increases the protective mucus layer of the stomach. Kasi diba yung stomach natin, meron siyang laman na gastric acid. So, yung laman na gastric acid nung stomach natin, hydrochloric acid yon. So, it's very strong. pH niya is 0 to 2, gano'n. Sobrang acidic niya. And that acid can actually denature the proteins of the stomach itself. So, pwede niyang mabutas yung sarili ng stomach. That's why you give rise. That's why nagkakaroon ka ng ulcer. So, the way the body prevents ulcer is by having a protective mucus layer on the stomach. At yung protective mucus layer na yun is actually rich in prostaglandins. Your prostaglandins there can also found there, it also inhibits the secretion of gastric acids para hindi siya maging too much. So, yun yung balance na maintain sa stomach natin para hindi ka nagkakaroon ng ulcer. And your part of that balance, a key role is played by prostaglandin. Another function of your prostaglandin is to contract or relax smooth muscle. And this fact is taken advantage of by an abortifacient drug na tinatawag nating misoprostol. Si misoprostol, I don't know if you've heard of it, yun din yung Cytotec. Ginagamit siyang pampalaglag. Bakit? Kasi yung misoprostol, it induces contractions of the uterine smooth muscle. So, yung uterus ng babae na gusto magpalaglag, magko-contract siya. So, malalaglag yung baby. Kasi para siyang nanganak ng maaga. So, it's an effect of prostaglandin. So, yung misoprostol na drug na yun is an analog of prostaglandin that controls your smooth muscle to kaya nagkakaroon ng premature labor if you take that drug. Another effect of your prostaglandin is to mediate the inflammatory response. It raises your body temperature, it intensifies pain, and enhances your inflammation. So, anong nangyayari dito? Your prostaglandin can go to the hypothalamus to raise the temperature set point. So, basically, pupunta siya sa utak, sabihin niya, pakitaas naman yung may bacteria tayo sa katawan, pakitaas yung temperature kasi gusto natin siyang gusto nating maging hindi livable for the bacteria, yung environment in the body. Gusto natin maging masyadong mainit para mag-grow yung bacteria, para hindi siya dumami. So, nagkakaroon ka ng fever. So, your prostaglandin has a role in inducing your fever. Your prostaglandins can also interact with some of your nerves to intensify pain. It also enhances the inflammatory response. So, kapag mas marami kang prostaglandins, mas namamaga, mas sumasakit. For example, kung may sugat ka, magiging mas masakit siya, mas marami yung sakit, yung dahilan ng pamamaga. One of them is the prostaglandins. Kaya nga, if you have pain in your body or you have a fever or merong namamaga, you can opt to take yung ating mga aspirins and other NSAIDs. Yung mga aspirin, yung mga ibuprofen, mefenamic acid, ganon, celecoxib, yun yung mga NSAIDs or non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. Itong mga anti-inflammatory drugs na to, pinapababa nila yung inflammation. They also serve in lowering your fever. So, yung ating paracetamol is actually not an NSAID. So, hindi dito yung mode of action niya. Pero, yung NSAIDs natin, ang ina-act niya is it decreases prostaglandin synthesis. So, pag hindi ka nag-produce ng prostaglandin, hindi tataasan yung body temperature. So, your fever will go down. Dahil hindi ka nag-produce ng prostaglandin, there will be less pain and then mababawasan yung pamamaga kasi nga, there will be less enhancement of the inflammatory response when you have less prostaglandins, di ba? Pero tandaan nyo nga, di ba sabi natin, your prostaglandins are protective to your stomach in order to avoid having ulcers. So, if kumain ka or if uminom ka ng mga ibuprofen, mefenamic, other drugs natin on an empty stomach, mapupunta sila ngayon pagpasok mo sa stomach mo, mapupunta sila ngayon sa stomach, ma-encounter nila yung protective mucus layer of the stomach. So, anong mangyayari? Doon sa area na yun, may inhibit yung prostaglandin synthesis. Kasi, yung action nga ng drugs na yun is to inhibit prostaglandin synthesis. So, ano yung bad effect nun? Siyempre, yung effect ng yung prostaglandin sa stomach, siya yung nag-i-increase ng protective mucus layer at nag-i-inhibit ng secretion of gastric acid. So, pag uminom ka ng NSAIDs on an empty stomach, or ng drugs na yun on an empty stomach, i-increase. Hindi mo mai-inhibit yung secretion, thus increasing the secretion of gastric acid at dinipis yung protective mucus layer. Kasi nga, in-inhibit mo yung prostaglandin is responsible for increasing the protective mucus layer. So, mas likely ka magka-ulcer pag uminom ka ng mga anti-inflammatory drugs natin on an empty stomach. Kaya pag umiinom ka nun, dapat talaga may laman yung tiyan mo para yung effect niya is hindi diretsa mapunta sa stomach mo. Next, one of your prostaglandins, itong isa, si PGI2, si prostacyclin, has antithrombotic effect. What it does is, meron kang blood vessel, di ba? It keeps your blood vessels patent para smooth flowing yung iyong, para smooth yung flow ng dugo mo dun sa blood vessels mo. Para wala kang ma-introduce na unnecessary clots. So, it keeps your blood vessels patent. Next, doon naman tayo sa another class of eicosanoid, si thromboxanes. Si thromboxanes, also C20 structure, kasi nga eicosanoid siya. Meron naman siyang ether ring. So, meron siyang ether ring. And what we want to remember about your eicosanoids is that promote the formation of blood clots. So, kung yung si prostacyclin prevents formation of unwanted clots, si thromboxanes naman yung nagpo-promote ng blood clots. At kailan sila nagpo-promote ng blood clotting? Yung platelets, yung nagko-control nito, they release yung ating thromboxanes to promote platelet aggregation. So, pag meron kang injury, your platelets will take that as a go signal to release your thromboxanes. At pag nagkaroon na ng thromboxanes, syempre, magkakaroon na tayo ng platelet aggregation. So, it's a balance between your eicosanoid, between your prostacyclin and your thromboxanes. Next, you have your leukotrienes. So, leukotrienes, the last group of your eicosanoids that we will discuss. So, your leukotrienes are also carbon-20 containing structure kasi nga eicosanoid sila. They are made using a different pathway from your thromboxanes and prostaglandins. So, they are eicosanoids that contain 3 conjugated double bonds and hydroxy groups. So, ano yung function ng leukotrienes natin? So, leukotrienes, dahil ang ginagawa nila is actually they mediate inflammation. Nagtatawag sila ng mga WBCs, etc. If kailangan, for example, meron kang injury, meron kang infection, isa sa mga nagtagatawag mo ng saklolo is yung leukotrienes. Sumatawag sila ng mga inflammatory cells to the site of injury. Pero, if overactive naman yung leukotrienes mo, of course, they will also mediate hypersensitivity. Kaya nga, yung mga may asthma, umiinom sila, yung iba sa kanila, if medyo severe yung asthma nila, meron silang maintenance na iniinom, yung Montelukast. Yung Montelukast inhibits the synthesis of your leukotrienes para hindi sila maging hypersensitive, para hindi sila atakihin ng kanilang hika. Okay? So, I think doon na tayo sa last topic natin for lipids, which is your biological waxes. So, your biological waxes are, ito yung pinakasimple yung structure sa lahat sa kanila actually. It's just a long chain of fatty acid plus a long chain of alcohol. So, long chain of fatty acid, di ba? Plus long chain of alcohol. And the linkage between them, kung hindi mo alam magsagot, the answer is ester. So, long chain of fatty acid is usually 14 to 36 carbons, usually saturated. Kasi nga, hydrophobic to. Mas saturated, mas hydrophobic. And then your alcohols, which are usually 16 to 30 carbon atoms long, pwedeng saturated or unsaturated. So, ang role ng biological waxes is for water repellents or waterproofing. Kasi nga, dahil parehas long chain ng hydrocarbons on either end. So, yung functions ng ating biological waxes, basically, nagiging protective coating siya in humans, birds, and plants. So, humans, they protect hair and skin to keep it pliable and lubricated. So that if mabasa ka, it will slide off. Hindi siya yung ma-absorb ng katawan mo, yung tubig, di ba? And then your birds use biological waxes to keep their feathers water repellent, as well as to minimize the loss of their body heat. Your plants will also use your biological waxes to prevent excessive evaporation and protect against parasitism. While there were biological waxes also used in pharmaceuticals, cosmetics, and polishing. So, yun yung commercial use naman ng biological waxes. For example, di ba, ginagamit siya pang wax ng kotse, pang wax ng mga shoes, etc. So, yun yung commercial use naman ng biological waxes. So, hindi lang siya made in the body. Siyempre, ginagaya din natin siya for our purposes in life. So, I think that's the last slide. For this lecture, I want you to focus on the different types and the different structures and yung mga diniscuss natin na functions nila, yung mga clinical correlates. So, kasi yun yung lalabas sa exams natin. So, I think that's the end of my lecture. Thank you so much, dear, on my reference, and have a nice day.